In the 1500s, this place was known as La Almadravilla. Later on, it appears in records as La Caleta and subsequently became known as Catalan Bay. Today, we've come down to this beach to see how much of an impact the place has had in the creation of a people, los caleteños.
This used to be the old traditional boats, the shape, but it's a dying trade nowadays. And one of the last ones. It used to be the Genoese shape.
The Genoese shape.
Years ago, where they used to use them for fishing. The long stem and all that. You go over to Genoa, you see the same kind of boats there. The old boats used to be made out of wood. Nowadays, we are making fiberglass hulls out of the old fishing boats, the wooden ones.
Yes, yo soy la hija del de los botes.
I lived for a couple of years in town on the other side of the rock, and I always wanted to come back to the village. Eventually, I was lucky enough to be able to get a property here, and I moved back, and my kids now live here. And seeing them playing around in the afternoons, and especially when the sun goes down, brings back memories of when I was a kid.
Bought my own flat here.
So it's a thing then, caleteños move out eventually, but eventually they come back?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You see that a lot now with a few up in St. Peter's Close as well. They've come back, so not that many flats available, but yeah, you see it a lot if they get the opportunity to do so.
The latest development was St. Peter's Close, which is the building that's behind the church. And that was an initiative by 22 families of youngsters, when I was younger, of my age, my generation, which used to live in town, and we obtained that property. And we all moved back in. It's 22 families that moved back in.
Do you live right next to your grandmother, your uncle, your cousin, your auntie? Everyone's just close-knit.
Close-knit community.
Very close. And the kids also. The kids,
and it's safe.
You're very safe. You never see any graffiti on the walls.
One of the last ones of my generation that has both parents from Catalan Bay, actually.
Going playing football down at the beach. We used to play more things than the kids now. And going up the sand slopes as well. A lot of things to do here.
Just running around and playing barefooted on the beach.
So I remember when I was a kid that the boxes of fish and the fishermen, as they came back from fishing, the boxes laid against the wall, and all the fish in display and people buying the fish.
The boats. Going out in your boat, rowing on the boat, going fishing, going in the turtle cave.
So we had a pole that used to, a boom. You used to come from the shoreline to the mamela. That stone, that rock over there is called the mamela.
The mamela, yeah.
And you had to, they used to rub it up with grease, and you had to actually cross it.
La verdad que buen ambiente aquí en La Caleta.
We call it los tapones, which is another thing that we use, is a piece of metal which you throw against cork. Corks that you put on the wall, and you actually, it slides along a steel sheet, and it hits los tapones.
Yeah. And the boliche was a net that was cast from the sand by the men, and then pulled in manually. And I remember this catch, and it was small sardines that today you would not be allowed to catch them, and there were boxes and boxes of it.
Los caleteños, a people very proud about their heritage, who continue to live in close community, keeping alive many traditions which the wider Gibraltar has now lost to time.